for liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Today is Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. It is the 16th week, of comics in 2024. Rolling right along. Yeah, it's the end of the fourth month of this year. Wow. Where's this time gone? I'm Matthew. He's Chris. Chris, how you doing this week?
I'm doing excellent. I'm gearing up for the big week next week.
Nice.
A lot of things happening in the world of Star Wars next week, and we're going to be smack dab in the middle of it.
Yes.
As usual, talking Star Wars comics. So
it's a four-letter acronym that starts with F. Or yes, well, that's true. That's right. Okay, next week. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, I'm just bringing my brain planning project thing. We will have more comics to talk about than just next week, but also other things. Oh no, wait, my brain isn't working. Yes, it is right. What day is it? What day is it tomorrow? What day is going on? I just had a meeting right before this, guys. My brain is all over the place. Anyways, so that's how I'm doing. You're in Underworld North Studio in Toronto. You're in what did we call it? We call it Garden State Studio.
Garden State, yeah.
Garden State Studio in New Jersey. There we go. We're Tractor Beam Comics Reviews. You can follow us. So good.
Go ahead. You do your plugs. I do have one thing I'll mention. That's not really comic book related, but it is very much Star Wars related.
Yes. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD, and at Star Raptor, STARRAPTER. Follow us, of course, the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, and at the SWU and the Underworld Facebook, etc. The Underworld Discord server. Check the. I guess I don't. Yeah, I do. I do include the link in the description below, in the notes below. So check that out. Chat with us there, and check out what Star Raptor, Chris, you're being up to these days. You wanted to mention something.
Yeah. So as of this morning, as of the last 13 weeks, this is what's on my brain here. I mean, we're in Bad Batch territory.
Nice.
Picked up the latest Shatterpoint models that coincidentally are dropping while the show is airing. So, congrats to the miniatures over at Atomic Mass Games for coordinating their logistics to have this out ready to go in the penultimate issue or episode rather. So yeah, very excited, and I'm sure we'll be talking plenty of Bad Batch next week because hint, we don't have a lot of comics coming out next week, but we could easily fill that time up with Bad Batch talk with the stuff we don't have to talk about. So
that's the plan. First off, at least somebody's in the toy space, the game space is on the ball there, and with Star Wars, just putting that out there. Hasbro Black Series, it's getting better. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. I will say the thing that got me discombobulated was fighting with day and week. It was next week there is only one comic book, but there's also the Bad Batch finale, as you mentioned. So the weekend after that is Free Comic Book Day, and then so there's two comics there, and then I think there's an extra comic the next Wednesday. So we'll have stuff to talk about. We'll definitely have stuff to talk about next week and the week after. We have stuff to talk about this week, as Joel so kindly put it, the Nameless in space. There we go. I think that's what I think when I named it. Nameless in space, just because Hieroglyphic Adventures number 5, written by Daniel Jose Older, art by Elisa Romboli, colors by Michael Attier, and cover by Harvey and Kevin Tolibau. On the edge of Republic space, Zine, Lula, and a small Republic fleet launched a surprise attack on an Isle prison ship. It's a daring rescue attempt, but their hope is to find and free missing allies. Now that they fought their way in, will they be able to fight their way out? This was a great great follow-up to the cliffhanger ending last week or last time when they got blasted into space. Got Farzala and buckets of blood, and them getting chucked into space on this Isle prison ship. And the big story, the big line for me is Lula in this one. She really seems to have found herself again, come into her own, able to take part in this mission. I think Xena seems to be leading that squad that infiltrates the prison ship, but she's able to really be part of it, be herself. The big thing for me is at the end, her big decision that she finally makes. That we that's one of the things I mentioned last week. With was it with oh goodness, the Lena So's son, and then what's his name? The mayor in Valo, the mayor of Lenisa City.
Jom and Kip, right?
Yeah, John and Kip. Yeah, but then there's wow, my brain, it's not working today. Vildar and Tay Surek in that flashback. That one didn't quite work. Last week, so that one worked. This week, this had better be it. This is the right answer, guys. I think this is the one that really built this up for Lula to literally, she grabs some Jedi robes off the rack, out of the closet, and symbolically throws them in the fire. And not to say any kind of shade against the Jedi, but to say, yeah, for her choice to commit to Lula, to commit to Zine, and really, yeah, kind of this marital type moment here, this wedding type moment that she has with Zine. They definitely built that up and built that forward, and this really is. I want to say two things. It's both. It's made possible by everything she's experienced after the fall of Starlight through these 5 issues. Made experienced by her being not abandoned, or her being just separated from her Jedi family, and being losing her sense of herself, and then finding it with Zine specifically. But I think this was always there. That this will she, won't she? It was always kind of there that she was going to end up choosing Zine, and it's the last panel, I think, of the book, and leaving the Order effectively. I mean, she's still a Padawan, I think, at this point, but this one, it seemed to be a moment of a decision, and that's what we've seen with these Padawans at High Republic is, they're able to have these romances, have these things maybe kind of on the side, but once they come to a point where they could be knighted, they could either be knighted or they could continue in this relationship, and Lula chooses to continue this relationship. It's so well built up, it's so logical. I'm really curious next issue what the implications of this will be, how the rest of her Jedi family will respond. Will they be understanding? Will they be helpful? I mean, that's the thing. Cantum is left, and this is that flashback from that the Claudia Gray novel, I think. No, it's from the Daniel Jose Oliver, from Midnight Horizon.
Midnight Horizon.
Cantum left the Order for a while, was on this walkabout with this circus performer guy, this fella, and was almost going to leave the Order for him, but instead they come back and they find Lula on Naboo, right? This little 3-year-old kid or whatever, younger, and they come back to the Order and say, "I'm ready to be knighted and take this youngling as my Padawan eventually." And it's going to be complicated then for Cantum, I think. What they've given up versus what Lula is now giving up. I'll be curious to see just how Cantum navigates that, how Lula navigates that. Again, it's different because Lula is what she's gone through the last year. That her attachment to Cantum can't be as strong, but I'm very, very curious. I'm getting that story right. That is.
Yep, that's right.
Were her master, and yeah, okay.
Yeah,
because I know another character at the end of Midnight Horizon does. Another knight leaves the Order.
Comac Vitus.
Yeah, Comac leaves the Order. That's right. Was Wreath's master, right, or something, or someone involved with Wreath.
Wreath's master.
Yeah. So, all right, I have it on my head. There we go. Yeah, really. So, just setting all that dynamic up, and then lastly, looking forward to the Jedi in Lerv, Masters in Lerv, Avar and Elzar, and we know that they're going to actually completely, they're masters at this point. The implications of what they end up doing, to see how that gets handled. Really curious that they're seeding this possibility, and something that goes all the way back to Obi-Wan and Satine in Clone Wars, right? That this thing of saying, I would have left the order for you. Satine didn't want him to leave the order. Satine wanted him to be true to himself. Here's Lula being true to herself in this other way. Canton was true to himself in that moment too. So that hopefully is the point and the question. But yeah, really interesting question it raises. Yeah, again, the whole Jedi celibacy and attachment and all that. High Republic continuing to explore new angles to this that in the prequel era the Jedi of that time can't and won't, because they're just, this is how it's done. This is what we do. It's how we roll. Like Padawans aren't actually allowed to do things anymore. Maybe because of the precedents that get set up here in the mess, the complications and tricky, and just let's simplify everything. Why not? It's just easier in times of crisis just to simplify everything, and that ends up missing possibilities. I think is kind of the point. So anyway, I've spoken a lot about Lula and Lulene and the implications there. What have you thought of High Republic Adventures number 5?
Oh, this issue was amazing, man. This issue was one hell of an issue.
Mhm.
And it wasn't, I was already settled on that fact, or that opinion rather, before I even got to those last like 2 pages with the whole Lula Zine thing. I think that the blocking that was done for how the action was represented in this book was so well done. I mean, everything just, it looked like it was a movie in my head playing. Just pure Star Wars at its best. When you have an operation that's going on in space, you have this fast-paced, clicky kind of dialogue going between officers and soldiers, and there's a lot of tension that's built up. Because, mind you, these people are just floating in space, and it's this crazy image of Farzala just like as an awesome Jedi Knight as he is, just going around and knowing that, hey, this is going to be a big issue, and going around giving oxygen, floating in space. And then you have what's going on, oh my gosh, with Adi Z and Court and Zine and Lula, and even Sage with buzzsaws spitting and chopping up Nile. Like, this is absolute Star Wars gold right here. I mean, how could you not be excited about what's happening in these pages? It's just glorious. Like, just the representation of these characters and the color, how it pops. And like, even the stuff with the RDC, and that means, Republic Defense Coalition, is really cool. You got Krenar in there, who was first featured in Tales from Light and Life back in the day. You got him represent. We get to see like Rebel Republic or Republic pilots with like these cool helmets for the first time. That really popped for me. And just like the idea of like the whole operation, I could understand the action was so well done, because it's like, okay, the shield is up. We have to get we have to get the transport ship in there to rescue the people. But at the same time, we have a cannon that's firing at us. We have the ground team that's going in there, wiping out the guys. They're deactivating the power. And then we have to actually get these people floating in space. We don't have time, so we have to get them in the smaller craft at the same time. And they have Cantum Sai going out there in space and helping out Farzala and recognize him as a Jedi Knight. That was a really cool moment.
Yeah.
And then the stuff with Niv Drandal and the Nameless floating in space. And then the character name Dridget is giving me Crix Camerat vibes, because she's like that young character that's stuck on the bad side of things. And Niv Drandal, she's kind of like forsaking now at this point. Like, he went off to get his eggs, and then you have the warden that's basically like, I'm getting the hell off of this station, and you should come with me, kind of thing. So she goes and does that. It kind of reminds me of Crix Camerat going off with Marchion Rowe. So there's just so much depth in this issue, and and then the cherry on top was like the whole thing I didn't expect, of like that fiery reunion, and we have to hold off for another 3 issues to see how that concludes. And the fact that we still have 3 issues of like, we're going to be obviously following these 2 characters, but they're left there on Iriadu, and she's gonna, Lula's just not gonna be a Jedi Knight anymore. I find it very interesting seeing her appearance is so strikingly different
Yeah.
than the first. I mean, everything from the hairstyle
Mhm.
to the idea that she's not even using a lightsaber anymore. She's just like a bona fide scoundrel, like Han Solo at this point.
Hmm.
It is so cool. Her character arc is like so fascinating. I absolutely love this, man. I absolutely love this book.
Yeah, it really brings us to a story point in a convincing way. That again has been built up. Yeah, I talk about the blocking and the action. It's hard to do in this medium, and not every comic book succeeds. I know, Bounty Hunters, Paulo Villanelli really was
Yeah.
for this. Yeah, credit to Elisa Ramboli and Michael Attier for just giving us these angles and these perspectives and the action and the motion. Yeah, especially the squad on the ship. Yeah, and then Farzala. Everything with Farzala, what we've seen, just these poignant character moments, because he's kind of the quieter, softer kind of character. You hear him, the kind of introspective. We're here to serve. We're here to support life. We're here to give. The kind of thing you hear a master say. You kind of thing we hear, Qui-Gon thinking about in the Living Force, for example, which I'm only about halfway through, so don't worry. But that kind of maturity there. So
Cool.
everything, Farzala always, for him to be recognized. I mean, he's definitely, and I wouldn't be surprised, if he's got master potential and well, definitely master potential, like Jedi Council
Yeah.
potential.
I think it's so neat that
Mhm.
he's a Zygerian too. Like we never see
Mhm.
Zygerians really portrayed as good characters,
Really, he's
right?
just like
They're- Yeah,
like the
like
slave,
the slavers. Yeah,
but he's blue. Look
look it
that
up.
up.
Look it up. And I mean, I think I'm pretty sure he's Zygerian.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you're right.
Is
I
that
just, I
so
just,
neat?
I just assume they're always
Yeah. Like,
orange or brown, but no,
oh,
they're
okay.
blue.
There's
They're
certain species and a lot
Mhm,
of species in Star Wars that get a bad rap, like
mhm. Yeah,
Klatooinians, like those guys are always
Kleptonians.
looking like they're working for the underworld or Gamorreans. You don't really see good Gamorreans anymore. There's a lot of different species,
It's
so it's
true.
cool to see somebody. And there's another,
Trendoshans
yeah,
always. I
yeah,
mean,
we
that
see,
skier. I mean,
yeah.
skier doing his thing in the main run.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
But yeah, great issue, great issue. Really, really enjoyed it.
fun times. Yeah. Definitely setting things up, but well, it's doing. It's one of those key hinge points in that it brings things to a good conclusion, but also sets up the next stage, next phase of this. So yeah, on its way. Do you have anything further to say about this one?
Oh, yes, I will add to you had mentioned in your opening salvo there that
Mhm.
somehow, Zine had some kind of ranking or responsibility in the
Yeah,
military. She is referred to as a commander. So that actually stuck out to me quite a bit. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. So she's obviously not able to be a Jedi because she's too old to begin the training.
mhm.
But the fact that she's still recognized as a vital component to
Yeah,
this entire operation, even going as far as being a commander at the age of like 15 or 16 or however old she is, pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, the Jedi. I mean, what we see on Jedi at their best. Jedi, they don't mind Force users not being Jedi. At least they're at their best. They say, okay, you can even go and use your lightsaber, and that's fine. Even Dooku, I think in Dooku Jedi Lost at the first bit, it's like, yeah, he has his lightsaber, he's gone, it's fine. It's stuck sucks that he's gone, but what can we do? Might as
Yeah.
well play nice. I think here it's going to be more so with Lula and Zine. They're going to be a power couple here. They're going to be an RDC power couple. You're kind of like the Edrins, but
Yeah.
Force, right? Why not? Right? Why not
I
say, you use your skills, use your Force sensitivity
I
to actually take missions to the Nile. Why not? And it does mean, here's the thing, it does mean they are sensitive to the Nameless, and that is probably some story point. I mean, we saw the Nameless in space is the one shot of the Nameless going around. The Nameless are always present, so that is one vulnerability for this squad. But I think just that they're more committed to each other I'm a that's the thing about the Force. It's this weird sort of timely-wimely, whatever gobbly-gooply thing that taps into people's energies and taps into people's relationships. And so, I mean, that's been true with these two for a long time. It's now there. I think there's going to be just even more, just a kick in the pants for them to really be this, literally, power couple. But yeah, I mean, kind of Underworld, but RDC, and that's the thing with the RDC at this time is there is not a mobilized fleet in the Republic, but it's a coalition. So there is some discipline, but it's it's still these individual kind of, well, especially like special ops crews. It seems to be, and this crew that can board the ship. And yeah, I mean, I guess Lula is with Jedi, but I mean, that's another thing is the Jedi and the RDC are really tight cooperating at this point, as we saw in this issue. So yeah, again, it'll be just in terms of that lore thing, it'll be interesting, but interesting especially to see how Lula's character, because I mean, Lula and Zine have been the main character of this HRA phase 1 and 3 this whole time. See just how where they end up in terms of kind of more adult, mature leadership of the squad. It's giving me, oddly enough, it's kind of giving me Tonga vibes. Tonga and
Lusha.
Tonga and Lusha vibes a little bit. Not just because it's two women, but just this couple that's leading the squad. Or I should say the squad itself. The idea of the squad is giving me Darkhawk crew, Edgehawk crew vibes, but not with the backstabbing part. So yeah, kind of thing. But also again within the Republic, because in this time, that's where they fit better. But those kinds of that'll be a neat kind of side story that I think maybe not the side story, maybe the main story now. Again, because neither of these characters are in the Jedi.
Yeah,
Lula is this whole run veering off into some other, not in a bad way, but pivoting into a different focus away from the Jedi into this kind of crack squad that they're on now. Interesting.
Yeah, I like the idea that Star Wars is playing around with mixing and matching different archetypes, right?
Yeah.
We always have the military person, the scoundrel person, and the Jedi person, right? Leia, Luke, Han. And the fact that we're kind of getting an amalgamation of the three now, we're getting people that are commanders that are also like scoundrels because they're using cool blasters, and they're also force sensitive. Is such a cool idea. Like somebody that could maybe like fling somebody with the force and shoot him in midair or something like that. I go back to Star Wars Rebels, learning about this cowboy Jedi named Kanan Jarrus. We get to actually play Cowboy Jedi and Jedi Survivor with Cal Kestis now, which is so cool. So yeah, just give me more of that, more of just like less of just like homogeneous, like homogenous kind of like has to be this one thing. Let's like spread it out, get things to be creative in that way. So appreciate that.
I mean, High Republic, throw everything up on a whiteboard and see what sticks. Team, that's what you did. And it's stuck in so many great ways. Any last thoughts on High Republic Adventures number 5? All right. Well, in that case, we can move right along to Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red number 1, going from an all ages comic to a not all ages comic. It was written by Benjamin Percy with art by Stefano Raffaele, colors by Raul Angulo, and covered by Alex Maleev. Darth Maul stars in his very own horror blockbuster, darn right. A prison ship transporting a cult known as the Final Occultation goes offline, and Darth Maul is sent by Palpatine to investigate. What he finds on board is the stuff of nightmares. It's up to him to stop this profoundly dark and unstable force that wishes to bring chaos to the galaxy. Chris, I'll throw this to you. What did you think of Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red number 1?
All right, yeah, Matthew. So I had a lot of high hopes going to this one. I knew I was probably putting unfair expectations on this one because I'm like, they got the recipe for success they're giving us a Darth Maul story that is before Phantom Menace. We have literally like one canonical story that is set behind the before those events. We got that. You're dealing with, like you said, black, white, and red, so they could do a lot of cool stuff with playing around with blood, and obviously Darth Maul is black and red. So let's get like a good canonical couple tales of just Darth Maul doing his business for Palpatine, being that hidden knife that is going as a scalpel and just cutting away the targets as he sees fits. And that's exactly what I got out of this issue. Everything, and maybe even a little bit more. This did remind me of some other comics that we got released recently, namely the one by Peach Momoka with the visions. Like, it had a lot of that vision, for lack of a better term, like vision kind of aspect of that. But yeah, it was great. I actually really did enjoy this. I wasn't expecting to get like the cool narration, like noir, like Darth Maul, like exploring like this derelict ship that's a prison ship. And I wasn't expecting to have this much horror elements in there. We got 3 different new species I've never seen before in Star Wars, unless they're a twisted representation of something we've already seen or something like that. But I wasn't expecting it to also go into as much of like a mental game for Maul, because we know Maul is very much a powerhouse physically. So it's cool that he was getting like visions and horrifying images in his mind and having to fight through that. And it was just like a really cool story. I really did enjoy it. It was a visual feast for the eyes in this medium of just having black, white, and red imagery. I think it worked out better than probably any of the Darth Vader ones we've seen, in my opinion. So really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll say I enjoyed it. It definitely, and I'll get to what I'm getting at here. Yeah, it felt, well, I'll say this, it felt more conventional than I was expecting. I'll say that. I thought it would be, because the Vader one, it's wild. It's all over the place, and the style is, we all know, all over the place, and just art splatters and just different types of penciling and yeah, all that. Again, no shade at all to Stefan Raphael and Raul Angulo. I guess I was just used to, and I haven't read the Wolverine one. I haven't read the. I know there's a Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch one coming out. I think there might be there's a Deadpool one coming out too. I think. There's Black White Blood is the Marvel Universe one. Yeah, but it was still definitely got the horror vibes. It definitely got these grotesque red beings. I wonder if they could have maybe had them a darker shade of red. That might have been a bit more horrific. But yeah, to your point though, definitely this threat to Maul, and that's the thing, is that I hate to use this word stakes, but Palpatine in the beginning calls him, our enemy is on this ship, and this enemy really being the chaos that this cult represents, and tries to the chaos of having these weird force visions, dark side magic visions that Maul gets hurled into. Maul, who's supposed to be, more, I don't know, yeah, like, well, I guess here's my point is, with this whole thing, it is a younger Maul. It is a Maul who isn't as mentally fixated. Let's say I don't think he ever gets mentally strong, but he does get fixated, especially all that time in that cave. That does get referred to in this book. Just when he gets cut in half and he gets stuck into the underground garbage scowl planet, and then comes up, and all he wants to do is take out Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait, how is that reference? Wait, go back.
I think there's a reference about. Well, actually, no, I think is it in this? He says something about how being trapped in a cave, or with cybernetic legs or something. I think there's some reference to that in there, and how he's like, I sounds like a terrible way to live. I think. I hope I'm not making that up. Maybe I am. I'll have to find it later. I do remember there's some reference to him being opposed to what his fate ends up being.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say this happens way before that. Okay.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. It's just that he's saying this at this point, and then as it turns out, this is how you're going to end up. But yeah, again, it's his mind isn't as focused and disciplined as it does end up getting, and so it is easier for him to be trapped in these weird force visions, and he has to literally chop his way out of these. Again, the image of him chopping that other the officer in half to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
The cultist in half as well. Yeah, there's these foreshadowing of his eventual fates. Both
I didn't even think about that with the guy getting bisected. That's a good callback.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thanks to Benjamin Percy for seeding that in. Yeah, that fate, but also again him being so enraged and so focused on Obi-Wan that ultimately, in a way, that becomes the all-encompassing vision, is having revenge on Obi-Wan. That leads to this chaos. I mean, that's the thing. Also, another thing about his story eventually is, he becomes this agent of chaos in the Underworld towards, not just towards him, but throughout the Clone Wars, and then later on. I'm really interested in thinking about, okay, yes, Palpatine, the Sith are all supposed to be about order, and this final consultation is supposed to be about chaos, but the Sith are so violent, and violence is inherently chaotic. It's destabilizing. It's disruptive. They say they're doing it in the name of peace and security, but the result is it's self-deceptive. And so it's interesting that this final occultation is this mirror to the Sith as the other side of a coin, to make metaphors there. But it's provoking the way the Sith claim to be all about order. And yes, with Palpatine, with the Empire, there's military order, but really the violence of chaos and the violence of disharmony, because the only true order is through harmony, especially in the Star Wars galaxy, the harmony of life and the light side of the Force. And so it's almost the dark side doubling back on itself, this commentary on that. Again, thinking with Maul, though, I mean, the reason Maul is able to do what he does, that's the thing with the Empire, is very much allows the Underworld to flourish, uses the Underworld. I mean, we see this in Bad Batch, or we see this in even in Living Force, that the Empire isn't formally a few decades or so away, a few decades away, but like 15 years away, but effectively, with all the centralization of power in Coruscant and focus and attention in Coruscant, this Underworld is now flourishing and taking over. Yeah, it's just this. I mean, I'm teasing a lot of this out in just these conversations about order and chaos in this book, but I don't think we're supposed to take it at face value. We're not supposed to actually accept what the Sith say about themselves. It is also fascinating then that they say this about themselves, that they say they're about order, order for themselves, mastery over the Force. It's an interesting question about why we go there with the great villains of Star Wars, right? As opposed to, well, that's the contrast with High Republic. The great villain of Star Wars of the High Republic, the Nihil. Although here's the thing, he actually imposes a lot of heavy order in his Markian, in his quest for chaos. So who knows? But I mean, he's less explicitly dark side. Is it maybe another point to be made there? But yeah, just spinning all those things out. What does it say about us? Is my final thing. What does it say about us that in our culture and our society, there are reflections on order and evil, and the dark side and violence, really break down between, do you want chaos or do you want order, and those two extremes kind of doubling back on themselves. Yeah, fascinating exploration. Getting me thinking. Get me. Let's bring this up here. There we go. Bring that up a little bit. Get me going philosophical there. So those are my thoughts. Again, exciting story, interesting.
This,
Oddly enough,
yeah,
interesting. I think this is the last we'll see about the final occultation.
well,
Because
they're wiped out now.
yeah, well, they're kind of wiped out. Anyway, I'll get back to that in a minute. But what were you? If you have any more to say about this book?
Boy, this is exactly what I'm talking about, man, because I don't think we've ever talked this long about the Darth Vader black and white and red issues. And this
Yeah.
is what I was talking about. Like, I wanted an impactful, significant chapter in Darth Maul's life in these comic books, and I thought I might be asking for a little bit too much by saying that last week. But I really do think that this delivered, and I'm going to go back in time when I watched Phantom Menace next week on Friday after work. I'll be thinking about when I see Darth Maul, like, oh yeah, he was working with Cad Bane. Oh yeah, he was working with Aurra Sing to take down a Jedi a couple months before this or whatever it was. Oh yeah, and he was also taking down a prison ship full of these horrifying aliens that were just tearing people apart and making them go insane. Like, this is a chapter in Darth Maul's life that I feel has been impactful enough that it feels like it's right at home. And it's like, it feels like that cool Legends expanded universe kind of spooky stuff. And it's just Darth Maul being Darth Maul. But like the idea of it could have been as easy as that. But then you have the dialogue and you spend a lot of time talking about, explaining about, hey, this is one side of the coin opposite of the Sith, but still evil. It's chaos, but it's in a different fashion. So the idea that that was even explained, it could have this could have been just simple. This didn't even really need to have dialogue. It could have just been Maul going, just killing some targets of Palpatine, wanted, and boom, clean our hands and we'll go on to the next story, the next anthology issue next month. But it's great that they put a little bit more emphasis into this. It makes it a little bit more complex. I appreciated that. Yeah, with Benjamin Percy with this.
Yeah, Professor Maul, being a Samuel Maul apprentice, student Maul, but yeah, student in different ways. Yeah, I will say, talking about shading, I think I'm trying to find my panel of the week coming up here. I found it and then I lost it. I promise I'll find it soon. This one here, I do appreciate. It's a different use with black, white, red. With Vader, it was very much black, and then the red, the lightsaber, and the Mason blood. With this one, yeah, they're able to have this with this character here. See if I can see it. Am I doing this right?
Yeah,
this character. Yeah, you can. It's the gradations of shading and lighting, and there are different things you can do. And this guy grabbing this blaster with a Vasek. Yeah, I do think it does use a bit more conventional comic book techniques. So I would hope that it'll explore a bit more like Peach Momoko does, for sure, like Black, White, Red, Vader Black, White, Red does. I think this suggests definitely as a more anime style for issue number 2. And that was interesting that here we have this description: mayhem at the Moonbender colony. The Remainders. Who are the Remainders, and why are they a threat to Darth Sidious? So it seems to be. They're going to be piecing together.
Yes.
And there's going to be different kind of villains of the week, if you will. Villains of the week, different threats of the week, but of the month, whatever. But I think all together they're going to teach Maul something that brings him, I think, brings him to the moment of Malachor. First of all, I don't know where chronologically that is, but when Sidious tells him about Malachor, but then brings him to, in Phantom Menace, he's very quiet and he's very somber. He only has 2 lines or something, whereas younger Maul is a lot more talkative, and older Maul is way talkative, but in Phantom Menace, in the middle, he's a lot more calm and serene. At last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge, and him being right, and he picking the moment, and that Sidious is actually, he doesn't negate him, he doesn't deny him. He said, "Yeah, you're right. This is the moment." So, his ability to, have that. I guess that's the one moment, the one time, his mind is disciplined, and again, not necessarily self-aware, and well, maybe self-aware, but not necessarily, strong, because I consider a strong mind to be someone who serves the light, and someone like Qui-Gon, but definitely disciplined and focused on and aware of what he's doing and what he's on about, in a way that he hasn't. I mean, that's in the fandom that he hasn't before in these comics. He's getting there in these comics, and he definitely isn't there in the older comic run. And in a way, he loses it by. I mean, he loses his mind in that cave with the spider thing. Kind of a little bit like Lula, but in a different direction, I guess. But anyway, that's. I think that's all I've got to say. Do you have anything more to say about Darth Maul?
Yeah, I have more to say just about the entire backdrop of Phantom Menace. I know you're in the middle of Living Force, and that one pirate there's this place called the Slice, and it's this region of space that's in between Hutt space and the core, and the Hutts don't really mess with it, but there's like these 5 other pirate factions.
I think they're messing a little bit. I think they got their tendrils in there a little bit there.
Okay. But basically what I'm trying to say is the Rift Walkers, they are the ones by Zeldina or something like that. What's her name? Zelindra or something?
Yeah, on Keldoin there.
Yeah. So it's cool because now with this we have the final occultation, and then with the next issue with the remainder. So we're really building this huge, multifaceted backdrop of the Phantom Menace. Like, we don't have like a Nile unifying force. We don't have obviously the Separatist Alliance. The Trade Federation's out there somewhere, but it's cool to just see like, all right, it's just kind of chaos. You have this faction over here, bounty hunters running around here. So it's a lot of cool stories that have been told recently involving things that are not our conventional bad guys,
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about chaos and order again, right? Here's this dark side chaos that maybe Sidious isn't exactly orchestrating like he does in the Clone Wars. He orchestrates this chaos, but it's still just this moment of chaos that the Jedi are not fully capable of addressing, and not capable of, the Jedi and the Republic are not fully capable of transforming into a peaceable order. And so along comes your charismatic Uncle Sheev and his safe and secure society of a Sith Empire. And so very familiar. It's in the weeds there of the Weimar Republic and the central. I mean, this is the clear parallel, right? Of this is the story that George Lucas tells, is the story of the rise of the Third Reich and the Weimar Republic in part, right? In the way power gets centralized in the wealthy, and then there's a very disgruntled periphery that blames all the Jews for stealing their jobs, and a bunch of other stuff that happens, Jews and Black people and LGBTQ and who knows who else, and a whole bunch of, not who knows who, we know who else. I'm going to stand up, and that's how genocides happen. It stands up and commits a genocide, and authoritarian regimes happen. And so, to your point, we're seeing why Sidious is able to say, well, why Maul is able to recognize, at last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, the Sith will have revenge, because of all this chaos that the galaxy has engulfed itself. And Valorum, I mean, I don't know how much Living Force goes into Valorum, and I know he's in there a bit, but I mean, Valorum in the Phantom Menace, he's just completely inept in the face of all this chaos and all these factions. And again, along comes kindly Uncle Sheev from Naboo, to take over.
Got him in his back pocket in Living Force. It's brilliant moves by everybody involved right now. I don't know if there's like an initiative by Pablo Hidalgo and the story group to be like, hey, everybody that's making a story, and we might as well just get right into Jango Fett because we're going to deal with more Valorum now. Is just, it's great because like every story now, it's like, you got to mention Valorum and how inept he is, because it's only going to strengthen, because that never really hit me very much. Like, I was like, why is this guy just suddenly like president of the galaxy, and all of a sudden like couple of people said no, and he's out. Like, why? Like, we don't know why. But now they're seeding in so many things and all these different pre-Phantom Menace stories. I absolutely love it.
I will say, I mean, it's Legends, but James Luceno, the Darth Plagueis novel, did all the heavy lifting back then.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's also different now, right? I mean, the story that Luceno tells is about the economics and is about not so much the underworld, but yeah, I mean the economics and the corruption that he gets false. I mean, Palpatine sets him up to be accused of corruption, but all that. But yeah, this is a different angle. This is far more. You're right, far more integrated and collaborative and what's the word? Just I don't want to say more coherent than a single novel, but yeah, this multimedia initiative that is the Phantom Menace at 25 party that we're having right now in this moment. So, even the Acolyte, who knows what the Acolyte's going to set up in that as well? Probably nothing much, but you never know. That's a good point. Let's move on to Jango Fett #2, written by Ethan Sachs, art by Luke Ross, colors by Nolan Woodard, cover also by Nolan Woodard and Lendale Francis Yu. The greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy in the crosshairs of a dangerous rival. Jango Fett is after a stolen artifact at the center of a planet-wide war, but the hunter is being hunted by the notorious Aurra Sing. What is the secret conspiracy that threatens them all? You seem to want to get into this. You seem to have more thoughts, I think, on this than I do. So I'll break the pattern and go for it. What do you think of Jango Fett #2?
Oh man, we are on it again with me on the hype train with this book because I am so relieved. And I don't know why I'm relieved. It's not like I had any thoughts of this being not as good as the first issue, but we're carrying on, and it's just as good as the first issue, man. I was ecstatic when I seen a preview a couple days ago about Jango Fett being on level 1313 because that is like the pinnacle of Jango Fettness with me. It's like this bounty hunter in the scum and the little hive of scum and villainy. And just the way that Ethan is adding more character to him than we even seen in Attack of the Clones, just giving him a lot more dialogue that's a lot more clippy, but it's pretty funny, pretty badass at the same time, and just like right from the the beginning when he's just like they don't even show you him taking out the Trandoshans. He's just
Yeah.
later, and it's just him walking. You just see their bodies, just whatever he did to them. Just great stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the Anselmis, what a cool character design. I don't think they've ever been, maybe in Legends they were around, but like I don't think I've ever seen them in like any on-screen things at all. So it's really neat seeing like their design and just his maneuvering throughout just the galaxy of trying to get this information. We're seeing really cool cameos from Cligson from the Bounty Hunters, which was really surprising to see, but really cool. Aurra Sing is being badass, as you would expect. What really hit me with this issue is Jango Fett really showing his gadgets, and even the one character calls him out on it.
Yeah,
it was like, hey, do you know how to fight without your gadgets, so to speak? He is basically Batman. Like I am looking at Jango Fett now in this lens, like he is Batman because he's fighting with all these cool gadgets, whether it be his vibroblade or his saber darts or his blasters. And then you see him at the end of the issue, and he is vulnerable. Like he got beat pretty bad by that guy to the point where he almost died if it wasn't for his slave one. And he's sitting there like getting the back to spray, and he's just like tossing it, just kind of aggravated. It just shows you a sense that Jango Fett is not an unbeatable hero. He is vulnerable. And it's cool to actually see that happen with these characters. They are not invincible. So that was the biggest thing that stuck out with me in this issue is we're seeing Jango Fett continue to be badass, but he is not he's not the ultimate warrior compared to whoever this upstart guy is, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, that ending raises more questions than it answers, right? And that's similar to the High Republic issue as well. Yeah, it's something about the fact that we've seen this armor, just the Beskar armor in live action now, really in live action. This is almost like Mandalorian Book of Boba Fett season -30 or whatever, we have this feel and yeah, Luke Ross, of course, is always going to be able to do this, but capture the feel of Mandalorian fighting, Mandalorian action. Of course, I mean he's been drawing Mandalorians for a very long time, from what I gather. So, yeah, definitely that sense. I did think, it was a bit hard to catch up and remember kind of what had happened. I mean, I don't usually have this much of an issue, but okay, where are we? What's going on? Why is he on Coruscant? Why is he doing this? But I did end up getting there. I mean, we immediately see the Anselmi and their politics. And yeah, like you mentioned with Valorum, just that really interesting thing of, Valorum really wants the Anselmi and the Nautilans to get along. Similar, of course, to, I think I mentioned this last time, to the Moncala and the Quarren on their planet. It's another thing with the water planet that's divided here. Yeah, that in the middle of it is this Jango Fett, who is going to be in the middle of it later on, of course, as we know, but he's in the middle of it here with this stolen gem. And yeah, the Nautilus says, yeah, we don't want your services. We no longer want your services. And he said, well, too bad, take it up with the Republic. I'm still going on my thing.
Yeah,
he's in the middle of it, but he's trying to rise above it. And I do get that sense also in Attack of the Clones. That's why I'm wearing the shirt. Yeah, I mean, he's the clone template. He's the template for the Grand Army of the Republic, but he's also next to Dooku with the Separatists, kind of hired by Dooku to be his personal security. But yeah, I guess at least that's what it seems to be like. So that's why, Maul can then take him out. But yeah, it really shows, his attempt to really stand out and stick out. That definitely gives my sense of, okay, this is he's going to get Dooku's attention here, and he's going to get Palpatine's attention, Darth Sidious's attention. I mean, Dooku hasn't fallen to the dark side yet, I don't think, at this point. But still, I mean, whenever you tell a Jango Fett story, and this is, I think, sort of what we kind of implicitly asked Ethan, or I mean, I think we stopped short of asking because he can't really answer it either. But there's always this thought of, okay, this is leading to, like in the Legends comic, leading to him being picked as the clone template, and what is it that that Palpatine sees, that Dooku sees, that leads them to select him? And I think it is his commitment to himself and commitment to neutrality, alongside the the physical activity, the physical prowess. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if, almost to say that his commitment to himself means that his genetic template is more manipulatable in some way, because what that commitment to himself, someone who's skilled enough can actually manipulate that, and who pays enough can manipulate that. What if it means that the clones are then able to be the good soldiers who follow orders? Maybe. I'm spitballing, speculating here, but yeah, there's got to be something that he stands out for. I think that's part of it. Again, he's such a great fighter. Yeah, it's curious. I mean, or maybe maybe the whole simple man trying to make his way in the universe. There's oddly enough, there's a docility to that, right? He doesn't care about the politics. He doesn't care about what it looks like to Valorum and his electoral campaign. He's just a simple man trying to make his way in the galaxy. That can translate into good soldiers follow orders. We're just simple soldiers trying to fight a war here. We don't care about the war. Of course, Clone Wars itself, the series shows, hold on a minute, they really do care and they really do understand, and everything we're seeing with Bad Batch takes it up a whole other notch. And of course, Rex and Rebels. It's a very distinct character. It is, yeah, fascinating to see. So it's fascinating to see the contrast with the clone templates, with the clone template and the clones themselves. Even with Boba in Book of Boba Fett, he has this honor among thieves sort of deal that Jango, I'm sure he has to some extent, but yeah, his commitment is this time to the bounty puck and to his contract, and yeah, it's that moment specifically where he refuses to just like
Yeah.
continues the mission even though it's politically contributing to the chaos.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because what's going on with the one character that's hiring Aurra Sing? Because
Yeah.
they are a Republic person, but then
Mhm.
the Republic hired Jango Fett, but now these people are tracking Jango Fett. That's why we have Aurra Sing there.
Right.
So it's like, what exactly is happening? And then there is they kind of allude to there's a girl. The thief is a small girl or a vulnerable girl or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'm very curious about that.
Mhm.
But going back to Jango Fett's allegiance, I think it's really interesting to to see that he works for both sides, right? He's worked for the Republic, but then we see him, like you said, working as a bodyguard of the Count Dooku. That's like what bounty hunters are ultimately.
Mhm.
They're not allegiant really one sided. It's interesting because like, okay, so the rebellion, we never really see the rebellion hiring bounty hunters. It's more of an imperial thing. So it's cool to actually acknowledge that the Republic actually would hire bounty hunters. That to me is fascinating.
Mhm. And it may be a sign of the corruption. Although, I mean, we'll see, Carson Teva, this guy, link up with Dinjar, and I mean, we saw Carson Teva try and get
Yep.
Cara Dune in there, but I mean there's that history there. But yeah, it's true. The rebellion, that is an odd thing. The rebellion, it's only when Han and Lando come to them. In Afra, I thought Afra would be signing up with the rebellion. She doesn't. She goes off on her own thing too. So yeah, it's a good point. It's a good question. Yeah, why the Republic find it so easy to do that. I think again part of it, and I think that's also who is Aurra Sing working for. I actually do wonder if that's part of the whole clone program and trying to follow him and test him. I mean, take the kill shot. Maybe not supposed to take the kill shot. Maybe it's supposed to take the, I don't know, what's it called? The
tracker
shot. Yeah, well, it's a tracker shot, right? But also just to stun him, to capture him, to take him to Camino. I don't know. That one, well, they probably need to negotiate there, or take him back to Coruscant to talk or something. I don't know. It'd be fascinating if Ethan was able to get to that in this run as opposed to later on. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like there is a lot of world building that they put in. It's just for 4 issues.
Yeah.
Like this could easily go longer than 4 issues. Probably like 12 issues, really 10 or 12 easily. From the amount of just like the backstory and everything else that's included in here, the way that he makes Jango Fett a lot more of just like the one-dimensional character that he pretty much kind of is for the most part. Do you know what the reference was to Valorum and Pikes? Is that the Clone Wars episode with Sifo Dyas?
Maybe.
That what that's
I mean,
about?
there might be some hint of that. I mean, this is obviously before that. I think my sense is that that's something we don't know yet. Who knows? But yeah, given the fact that it's Sifo Dyas, we see him, or no, I guess he's dead by that point. But we see like some connection there between Valorum and Sifo Dyas and the Pikes.
Yeah.
There probably is some business. Speaking of the chaos that he gets engulfed in, that he can't handle, it's too hot to handle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did want to mention the glorious return of a Return of the Jedi background character. Tweeted this out today. I said, thank you, Ethan Sachs and Luke Ross, for putting the Shevin back in the spotlight. These are the guys that look like elephants that walk on 2 legs, essentially.
Oh, yeah, those guys. Like, who are those? What's happening there?
They're so cool. I actually think I had a toy of one of them back from the old days, but no, it was the other one, like the guy that's like a lizard guy standing up with a staff that's next to Han Solo. I forget
that's definitely on Ethan's childhood bed sheets, right? You mentioned
that. So yes, it's cool because like I went back, I read these issues all twice, and I went back and the second time I noticed that guy that hired Aurra Sing like literally snapped one of their necks.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, he's like, he said something about like I stuck my neck out for this guy, and he bumped into him around the corner. He's like, and he just snapped like, dang. That's why I'm wondering who this Republic guy is.
Yeah.
He is obviously not. He must be a spy, because how could a Republic officer just kill a civilian like that? Now, okay, they aren't a civilian, because they did mention, this is another note I have. This is another syndicate I've never heard of before. It's called the Blood Oath Syndicate.
Mhm.
So there you go. Add it to the list of pre-Phantom Menace crime syndicates.
Yeah.
The
And
Shevens.
Is it weird? It is kind of odd to see a species like this as part of a crime syndicate. Like we usually, like the Lamu or whatever in The Last Jedi, they usually at a bar or whatever. I'm pretty sure that's where we see them in Return of the Jedi, right? Just at a bar or just in Jabba's palace or something.
Jabba's palace, yeah.
Just drinking away and taking it easy. No, it's a criminal syndicate right here. That's what they're doing.
Yep.
They're probably not very easy to snap their necks. It's probably actually pretty hard. So they're pretty
tough. Yeah.
And they are taller than we think. They're kind of so yeah. Interesting moment there. I will say, Ethan, he did say he has planned out multiple arcs of this. So, or he has not planned out, but he has ideas for multiple arcs of this. And so again, the hope is that Marvel is willing to continue with this run past this first arc. I hope so. Yeah, I mean it's successful. It's doing fine.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's do the math here.
Mm-hmm.
We have solicits for what month now?
I don't know. I don't do solicits. You go ahead.
Crap. Yeah. I don't know. They would have had to have announced it by now, but unless they're going to skip a month, because we have I think solicits through July.
True, and it is already number 2.
No.
I don't know. Who knows?
Sometimes I skip a month for stuff too, so there's still a chance.
Here's what I'm hoping. There's a small convention towards the end of the year in a small little town called New Amsterdam. where they I mean they've made major comic announcements there, right? Before.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
they do. So, that's where the darn thing was announced.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm eyeing that. I'm thinking I'll tell the YouTube right now. I'm thinking of going again. We'll see if I can. But yeah, I'm expecting. I'm got some hype for comics at New York Comic Con because of all the questions that we have about everything.
Yeah, maybe we'll
a few months out from say January 2025, where it's the 10th anniversary of all these comics. So. Yeah,
maybe we'll finally get the release date of the Qui-Gon Jinn miniseries.
That was announced in October, right?
Yeah,
we were in the room then. Yeah. For those, any final things on Jango Fett number 2?
Nope. Looking forward to issue number 3, as I always say. The next issue, here we go.
There we go. As mentioned off the top, next week it's just the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary special. Yeah, again, that's what got me discombobulated. Yeah, again, Free Comic Book Day is so Wednesday. Phantom Menace Wednesday the 1st, Phantom Menace. So we'll just talk about that, and then Bad Batch finale. We'll spend the rest of the time talking about Bad Batch finale because we wanna. Why not? And then it's Star Wars, Bad Batch, it's canon. And then and then the next week I'm thinking we'll roll in Free Comic Book Day with whatever comes out the next Wednesday. Hopefully it's not too much. Wednesday the 7th, around there, so, or the 8th or whatever. But yeah, I mean, you're right, it's going to be a huge week. I mean, it is Star Wars week. It is nice that we're getting another animated thing on May 4th. You got your ticket to Phantom Menace. I got my ticket to Phantom Menace. So it's going to be fun. Do you have a ticket to any kind of May the 4th party?
Well, I was just seeing there might be, there is a party on 3 floors at a place in Newark for just Star Wars. So I'm like, oh, that might be fun to try out.
If I should fly into Newark. No, I'm just kidding. To a trivia thing here in Toronto. I'll do that.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I gotta look for trivia in my area.
Yeah. So So yeah, but also again, continue the Phantom Menace, Phantom Menace 25 party. Yeah, this anniversary special, this new Anakin story, right? A new boy Anakin story. So that'll be
I'm not looking too much into it because I kind of want to be surprised, like
yeah.
what stories are in there. But also, yeah, basically, look, this is how the Star Wars week goes because
Yeah.
it's not even Star Wars Day; it's Star Wars week now
Yes.
because you have Wednesday we get Phantom Menace, we get Bad Batch ending. Thursday tickets go on sale for Star Wars Celebration Japan, so I'll be
Yes.
trying to get those.
Let me do it. Yeah.
And then and then Friday, yeah. So that's then Friday, Phantom Menace I'll be going to see. And Saturday we'll get 6 episodes of Tales of the Empire. We'll get the free comic book day editions, and maybe hopefully we'll get an announcement of whatever animated series is next.
Yeah.
So
For Star Wars Day, I never hold my breath for announcements.
hmm,
For me, it's about celebrating things.
true.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I'm looking at these covers. This Chris Sprouse cover of the Padme pylon, red pylon, which is my favorite Padme costume. I'm here in Previous World. Yeah. Yeah. So Greg Pak and Will Sliney are writing this book. It's gonna,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a power
And it's Greg Pak
duo right
writing
there.
Anakin, right? I mean, he's
Oh,
been
yeah.
writing Anakin since 2020. Just in a black cyborg costume, but still Anakin. Come on. So yeah, looking forward to that. And the Bad Batch finale. You know, so that's where there's only one comic, so I can't ask which one are you looking forward to more. But yeah, yeah, Bad Batch today. Yeah, it was good. So set things up, transitional set things up. So
Yeah.
we have a lot to talk about next week, even with one comic book. Hopefully get Insider in eventually soon. All that. So fun times. All right, let's get to the plugs at the end. Again, you can follow us at Ion Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD. This past Monday, Joel and I talked all about character cameos, as mentioned, and storytelling, and just yeah, it was another kind of canon versus story at hand question. This coming Monday, we're talking about all these Jedi Council scenes that we're getting,
Hmm.
and what that means about the Jedi Council and what that is. So definitely very paper heavy episode, but also yeah, I mean there's a few in the prequels, definitely one in Phantom Menace, or a few important ones in Phantom Menace. So check that out right here. Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on Monday night, and then of course the flagship tomorrow night, talking about Bad Batch. Maybe if there's got any news to talk about tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And then of course Rayside, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy, and everything they're up to. Chris, where can they find you on the internet? What are you up to?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter posting some skateboarding clips, talking about some games and Star Wars Unlimited, Star Wars video games, all the Star Wars all the time over there. That's at Star Raptor. Most of my content video will be on youtube.com/Star Raptor, where I do my weekly comic book reviews, real quick fire type things compared to our long form discussions here.
Over an hour.
What do you say?
We've gone over an hour tonight.
Yeah. And then I have my own show over there, Outer Rim Transmission. Every Sunday evening we go live around 7 p.m. Eastern time. So be there to check out what I have to say about Bad Batch on a weekly basis. I also did put a story up on starraptor.substack.com.
Yes.
My review of Civil War, which I know you and Dominic seen recently.
Yeah,
So
we saw that. Yeah.
that was definitely an experience. So you can check out my thoughts over there on starraptor.substack.com. But thanks for a great show once again, full of bounty hunters and Sith characters and Jedi that also are using guns or blasters. So a lot of things this week.
There you go. Padawan lost, but not quite Master lost yet. We'll see when that happens. Yeah, just my personal Twitter, NEG485, Instagram, MNEUG1138, and Threads. It's a lot of Taylor right now because of Torture Poets Department, but a bunch of other stuff too coming around the pipe. So check that out. Please do like and subscribe, like and share this video as well, and subscribe. to the channel if you haven't done so already. Check out the Discord, the link in the description below. Again, to bring this up, Phantom Menace 25th anniversary special. Go to your comic book shop, brick and mortar. Yes, you can go digital if you want, but go to your comic book shop, pick up some variants, give this book some love, give this film some love, enjoy. Go get your ticket if you can. See it on the weekend and whatnot. And then Bad Batch series finale. It's coming to a head. All right. Until then, Chris, it's been fun. Happy reading.